Hello there, my followers of darkness. Welcome, welcome. It's our house now. So please get around, join the fun with no regrets. So basically, all dirty, greedy, black-hearted bastards are basically welcomed here on this discussion. Welcome, welcome. Like always, I'm your host, Laura Shadows, with my charming Shadow Council members, co-hosts.
Film Review Central. Hello, everybody. Really pleased to be back on the channel and to be described as following the darkness. That's going to be good. It's going to be a good conversation tonight.
Hey, TK here. What's up?
Okay, so guys, as now that we've done our introduction, with this time, as I think a lot of you have seen from the wallpaper, we're gonna have a pretty interesting discussion this time, and also. Before we start, let's just simply congratulate Disney for like the 100 years anniversary, 100 years being active. Well done, Disney. So we're going to use this opportunity to basically dig up into the Disney's Rogues Gallery, basically. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about the Disney villains. And when I say Disney villains, I don't mean Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, or any other Disney property. I'm talking about actual Walt Disney villains. So basically, join the fun, and I'm wishing you two good luck to keeping up with the Disney villainy.
So I've got a pillow, I've got a duvet over there. I'm ready. I'm in for the night. This is I need an energy drink. That's the one thing I need. That's gonna be good.
So let's start with this. Okay, I want to ask you all, who was, and again, think closely, who was your very first Disney villain you were introduced to?
Oh,
that's
a good question.
Put on your thinking caps.
You should have gave us some time. You should have got us prepared for this.
I'm waiting.
Why did you go first, and then it gives us a chance to go? Why did we flip it back onto you?
Oh, really? Just because I'm the host here, I have to go first. Right. Charming. But
I know I am.
I mean, as a host, I should let my guests first, not myself. It's fair. It's fair.
It is. I think I watched Lilo and Stitch actually as my first one, like when I was really young, and that was the first one that I watched.
Okay. So Jumba, Chukiba, Guntu, basically those two. Okay.
And that was but then obviously you got I think the oldest one would be Shere Khan in the animated Lion King from 1967. That was the oldest one.
So who was between those two? Who was your first one?
I think it was Shere Khan, because I can remember watching that and just being really interested by it. So yeah, I'd say Shere Khan was probably the first, because I just watched it casually as Disney animation. So yeah, I'd say that was the one. I didn't watch it in 1967. I'm not that old. But
I think you were not even a fart back then.
There's gonna be no comment towards how old I really am and how old my mother and father are. But yes, I'll go with the Jungle Book. That'll be my one. But thank you, our fearless leader, for putting me on the spot there.
Fair enough. And you, TK?
I'm trying to think what my first.
I'll tell you TK's when he watched Snow White in 1937. That'll be his one.
I'm trying to think what my first. I don't know. I don't remember what my first one was, but I'm gonna try to guess. I'm gonna say Professor Ratigan.
Really? The Mouse Detective?
Yeah.
One of the most underrated Disney anime movies, for sure. And come on. Who can forget Vincent Price as Ratigan?
Yes.
Who can forget that? He was brilliant. So, okay, fair enough. We just stick with Professor Ratigan, which, again, it's a pretty good start when it comes to Disney villains. Now, for me, this speak of the devil, basically, FRC. But like, listen, for me personally, we have to go all the way back in time. 1937. My very first introduction to Disney villainy was, I'm not kidding you, was the Evil Queen. She was the first one. Like, literally, I mean, I'm not kidding you. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was literally my first ever introduction to the Disney world. Literally, like I will never forget my one of my very close friends in this hometown where I'm living. He had basically a VHS of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in Italian, not in English, in Italian, a VHS, and basically. I was used to borrowing the VHS over and over and over from him, and I just simply fell in love with this movie, and even still today, by the way, it's my number one favorite movie of all time when it comes to Disney. But yeah, for me it was the Evil Queen. One of the most classical, traditional fantasy villains ever. Yeah, so she was my first one. Even though I didn't watch it in 1937 because neither me nor my father nor my mother were, they were not even farts, even they, back then. But okay,
This is probably a dumb question, but who was the first Disney villain ever?
Oh wow! I think
that was the first film. So that was like 1937. That was
that was
the first Walt Disney film, isn't it?
Exactly. But if we go back, I think now I might be wrong. Now it's either, because I have two characters in mind. It's either Pete, in that riverboat episode, was either Pete or the Mad Doctor.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you ever play Epic Mickey video game?
No, but I have a vague idea about the Mad Doctor.
I think one of them was the very first one. I think. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so now TK, shall we get the numbers in?
Yes.
Okay, how we're gonna do this? I think we should go one by one. Now, I think the easiest one will be you, FRC, my dear film review critic. I think you'll be the easiest one of all. Now,
it says my name there, but yes, critic. Yep.
I mean, Film Review Central.
Thank
You're
you,
a
sir.
critic.
Okay. I have, yes.
Okay, so basically, I want you, and this is going to be a very difficult task. I want you to number all the Disney villains you can get.
God, this is very
at the tip of your tongue. The ones you can remember.
Okay.
You don't have to search or anything. Just out of your head.
No. So have I just got to just start reciting them in my brain? Okay. Evil Queen, Maleficent. Jafar from Aladdin. Mustafa. No, not Mustafa. Is it Mustafa?
No.
No, I'm trying to think of it.
It's the name. His name came from a facial wound.
Scar. No. There we go. Ursula. Let me try and think. Captain
No
Hook.
searching. Oh, okay.
Let me hands like this. I'm going to put my hands up like this.
You don't have to pray, okay?
Okay. Captain Hook, one of my personal favorites. Shere Khan. Let me think. trying to think. See, the really sad thing is I'm just going through the live action remakes in my head, trying to think of them, which I shouldn't be doing because most of them are terrible.
Yeah. By the way, anyone who's watching this, live action versions don't count.
No, they do not. No, they do not. Because they are crap. Well, most of them anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think whether there's any.
Take you all the time you need.
I know, but I feel like it's going to make it for a very boring time if I'm just here sitting here thinking. I might have to tap out in a minute and be impressed by your two incredible knowledge. I'm
God.
trying to think of the one. I know. King Candy. Are you giving me that one?
Sure.
Thanks. You saw one on that. Yeah, sure. I feel honoured.
Go ahead.
See, you guys are going to look at me like really badly now, but I'm trying to think of the one in Bolt with the one that has the green eye, and I don't like that Bolt film. I don't like. I've watched that far too many times.
No, don't worry. We're not gonna look at you badly. We're just gonna hang you up to the nearest tree.
Brilliant. This has been Film Review Critic signing off. Hi. If something happens to me, somebody who's watching this just clip that up and then send it into evidence. Lord of Shadows, not TK. TK was just a witness. Lord of Shadows will be arrested. No, but I'm gonna declare myself out. So that's me.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, TK, you're next.
Okay. Professor Ratigan, the Evil Queen, Captain Hook, Scar, Maleficent, Hans, Magnifico, the evil witch queen thing entangled.
You mean Mother Gothel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rumpelstiltskin, the dark one.
Oh, okay.
These two are probably going to be pushing it, but I'm going to put them in there. Miss Finster and Principal Prickly. I'm trying to.
I wouldn't say they're bad guys. You know, I mean, I would say that like bad guys only in the point of view of the kids.
Oh, Doofenshmirtz.
Beg your pardon?
Doofenshmirtz.
Oh, okay.
Draken.
Okay.
The Hunts Clan.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. What was his name? Stromboli? Was that his name?
Okay. Yep, Stromboli.
Monstro, I guess, too, the whale. I'm trying to think who else.
Are we counting how many he's got? Lord of Shadows.
Yeah, I'm counting in my mind.
Oh God.
I mean, are we counting like? We're not counting Marvel or Star Wars or anything, but are we counting like live action Disney stuff?
No.
Okay.
If we were counting Marvel, I'd be still going. I'd just be like this.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? If we counted even Star Wars, we would be here like all night.
Star.
I would definitely be using this if you.
I'm trying to think. Zira.
He's got one.
Is it Zira?
Zero. Wait a minute.
From what movie? Do you want me to fact check?
I don't think I'm pronouncing that right. Let me look real quick. Yeah, Zira. From The Lion King 2.
Oh yeah, that crazy female tigress. Yeah, I know tiger.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
lioness. Yeah. I remember
It's
her.
got a very odd. It's got a very odd haircut for a lion or a lioness.
Yeah, very like
bit
Hannibal
odd.
Lecter, very like Hannibal Lecter type like haircut.
Yeah, let's go
To
with
mention personality.
There we go.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I said the evil stepmother or the evil stepsister.
No.
Well, wait, what was the evil stepmother's name? Lady.
Tremaine.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Tremaine.
Lady Tremaine. Yes. I always forget. I always used to call her the evil stepmother.
I'm trying to think who else I said.
Yes.
The Hun.
Shan Yu.
Yes.
Should you? Did you say? Should you? Should me? No. That was a bad joke. I do apologize.
No, I accept it.
I'm going to go back to praying.
I don't know. I think I got everyone. At least that I can think of.
You're done?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that the end of the live stream now? Is TK till that long?
Okay, so
No, TK was awesome. TK bossed it. That was brilliant.
Okay, so now it looks like it's my turn. Okay, so you know what? Like, to make this live stream easier, I'm gonna stick with like the Disney animated movies because trust me, if I connect the TV shows and everything, I can go on and on.
If you told me that, I'd be still going. Why did you tell me that? We'll change the rules for you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sticking with like anime movies.
Do you want me to count?
What?
Do you want me to count?
I don't think you will have that many fingers.
There's an app. There's a counting app. I could just get one of them. I've thought about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna go back and forward definitely, for sure. But like I'm gonna try to count them as much as I can. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit like pumped up. Okay. So basically, we start, of course, with the classic, the Evil Queen. The Evil Queen, Lady Tremaine, Drizella and Anastasia, the two evil stepsisters, Maleficent, Gaston, Stromboli, the Fox and the Cat, Monstro, King Magnifico, Clayton, Alameda Slim, John Silver, King Candy / Turbo, Shan Yu, Zira, Scar, Jafar, Hans, let me see, Judge Claude Frollo, the hunter from Fox and the Hound. I can't remember his name. Then, of course, we have, Maleficent, I said. We have, let me see, Jafar, I said. We have, let me just think. Because there are too many. I'm trying to, not to repeat. Let's see, Dr. Facilier from Prince and the Frog. Then I always forget his name, from Meet the Robinsons, the guy with the bowler hat. What's his name? I always forget his.
That's Bob.
No, that's not. That's from Goldfinger. No. I forget his name. Anyway, but I mean him. Okay, him, of course. Well, I could count Actually, Wreck-It Ralph 2, like Ralph Breaks the Internet, I can actually count the virus version of himself. I can count that. Let me see. I'm trying, because I'm trying not to mention them a number of times. Dumbo. I mean, if we're gonna count Dumbo, then I would go with the pink elephants as the villains. Kind of like metaphorically, because the Ringmaster. Some people are saying he's the villain, but honestly, he's not for me. The villain. I mean,
can I just say sorry? Sorry to cut you off. I have caught up. However, the elephants, I'm just putting them as one thing. So it doesn't matter how many elephants. You're not having like 6 elephants. So I've already given you the answer for that one.
Fair enough. Okay. So, oh god. Judge Frollo, I told him. So Captain Hook. I'm gonna, just for fun, I'm gonna also add Mr. Smee. Just for the fun of it. Yes, I'm gonna take him. Ursula, I said. No, I didn't. Ursula, Hades, of course, the amazing Hades, of course. Who else? Let's see. Commander Rourke from Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Let me think. Because I said a bunch of them. Dr. Jumbo Jokiba for a while, and then Guntu from Lilo and Stitch.
Alan, you're missing one really big one.
That's why it's very difficult to I mean, I could even say King Magnifico as well. Since we're mentioning Wish as well.
Woof.
Beg your pardon.
Woof. Thank you.
That was the clue. TK was giving you. It wasn't just woof. It wasn't just woofing for no reason. That was a big clue.
Woof. How original. Woof. Let me think. You mean the dogs from Bambi?
No.
Okay. Well, we can also include the hunters as well.
Boy, I need a new coat. If only there were some dogs.
Oh, shit. Oh, how embarrassing. Cruella de Vil, of course. How embarrassing. That's the problem. Since I know a bunch of them, it's some of them are easy to forget. Oh my god. I love
excuses. Carry on.
Okay. Let's see. Frozen 2 didn't actually have a villain, but even though a lot of people are mentioning the grandfather, but I never accepted the deceased villains. I never accept them. What was the name of that bandit that was with Aladdin's father?
Oh
my god, I forgot. I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember his name. I remember him. Let's see. I'm really trying to remember, but I cannot remember his name. Let's see. I mean, I already said a bunch of them. I'm trying to think, without looking at. Right. Oh, of course. How can I forget? Zootopia, Mayor Bellwether. I forgot her. Zootopia, Mayor Bellwether, the little treacherous sheep. I frame Lionheart. I can frame you too. It's my word against yours. Fuck off. And I'll die as Predator in Zootopia to keep it that way. Yeah. It's called a hustle, sweetheart. Boom. Yeah. Shere Khan, I mentioned. I mean, even in Jungle Book 2, Shere Khan was the villain, so double Shere Khan. That's for sure. Let's see. Okay, so Lady and the Tramp It's a tie between the Siamese cats and the rat. You know, even though like Lady and the Tramp is a type of movie that you don't actually kind of don't have a villain in a way. But if we have to count like the Siamese cats and the rat, let's see. I'm trying to think like I'm in a really quick way.
Morgana.
Mother Gothel.
Morgana.
Morgana, yes.
Wow, you thought that one really quick.
That's the problem. Like when you know a bunch of them, like some of them you can't easily remember.
You've said the villain for the second Wreck-It Ralph film, but you've not.
What?
You've said the villain for the second Wreck-It Ralph, but not the first.
No, I said it. King Candy's, aka Turbo.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Okay, I didn't have that one on. So
yeah, King Candy, aka Turbo.
Yeah.
Turbo-tastic.
By the way, I don't think you've seen that. I don't think you can see that. Oh, there we go. 43. You're on 43.
43. Ooh, that's good.
I told you I'd keep up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, because I'm trying the thing I'm trying to go from 1937 all the way now. I'm trying to think. Because I don't want to get confused with other franchise, other companies that they possess. No, I mentioned them. Okay, I can mention also Philip Benedict from Recess movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. Also, he was voiced again by the brilliant James Woods. Even though he will always be Hades for me. Yeah. Let's see. I think.
Did you say the one in Bolt?
Bolt actually. Well, Bolt doesn't count, and I'll tell you why. Bolt doesn't count because that guy with the eye, that's basically an actor. That's not an actual villain.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, Bolt doesn't actually have a villain. Basically, it's a story where a dog basically challenges his mind between like reality and fantasy.
Yeah, I know. I've watched the film. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. This is a movie that I've never seen I never seen almost anyone mentioning, but it's also a Disney property. The Carnotaur dinosaurs from the dinosaur movie. I don't know if you guys ever watched this movie. It's a really underrated Disney movie. It's like a 3D animated movie about dinosaurs, and basically the main bad guys are these like two carnivorous dinosaurs with horns.
I watched it when I was younger. I watched it at a friend's house. I remember that.
Yeah,
because he was like really into dinosaurs, so he used to watch anything to do with dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean it's a really underrated movie because I still think even today that there is a movie that I think it should be mentioned, and it's for me personally has a brilliant story and also a very emotional parts. Oh yeah, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, the leader of the bandits, the magician who wanted the bell. I don't remember his name. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't count even Brother Bear, like the brother. He was kind of like the villain because he thought his brother was dead, so he's kind of like the villain because he was trying to kill the bear. Who he was blaming for his death. Did any of you watch Brother Bear?
Not really. I always meant to, but I never did.
Joaquin Phoenix voices the main character.
I'm watching it now. If he's in it.
Okay, fair enough. Of course, one of the other classics, Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Off with his head! Jesus. Although, like, those are the biggest pair of panties I've ever seen. All in hearts. Yeah. By the way, if anyone who doesn't know what I'm mentioning, basically it's a scene when they were trying to play croquet with the heads of flamingos. So when it comes to panties, just go that scene and you'll see what I mean. Wow, that lady has the biggest bottom I've ever seen. Okay, that I think that comes to 45.
47.
47. Wow. Let's see.
Are we gonna hit? Are we gonna hit 50? Are you gonna try and hit?
I'm
50?
trying to see which ones I didn't forget. I'm trying to see which ones I didn't forget because I don't want to search for Disney anime movies. I want to try to get on them out of my head. Let's see.
Do you want me to provide you with a few films I don't think you've mentioned, and then you can go ahead with that?
And you can try. Yeah, go ahead, so we can make it a little bit faster.
Big Hero 6.
Ooh.
Oh my God! How am I such an idiot? Yes, of course, Robert Callahan, Yokai, of course.
Yeah.
Shit.
So yeah. So remember 48. Then with Moana.
Ooh.
Well,
I mean,
if we can count Tahiti's magma version, then I never actually counted her as a villain. I mean, Moana is a movie that actually did actually have like villains. I mean, okay, the only ones that there were villains were like those little pirates with coconut heads. But
Strange
okay.
World. Strange World.
No, it didn't have villain.
Okay.
Strange World doesn't have a villain. Encanto also doesn't have a villain.
No. Home on the Range?
Which is a real big shame because I always said in every story you need a villain.
Of course. Home on the Range?
I did say Alameda's Limb. I did say it.
Okay. Just working through them here.
Pardon?
I was working through them. You're just working through the movies and seeing.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Did you get Tarzan?
I'm trying to think. Yes, I did say Clayton.
Okay.
The Rescuers?
Let me think.
Oh, the Rescuers.
Sleeping Beauty, I did say. Oh my God, Pocahontas, Governor Ratcliffe. How can I forget him?
I think you've hit, Anya.
Gee, boys. Oh my God, how can I forget him? For Mother Gothel from Tangled, I did say it. I'm trying to think like through everything. If I did, another one. Also one of the most underrated Disney anime movies, Robin Hood. Prince, like Prince George.
What about The Sword and the Stone? Did you get that one?
The Sword and the Stone. Well, okay. Maga Mago. Yes, we can count the old witch as a villain. Yes. Because the reason actually why I never counted her because she wasn't the main villain. She was only a villain in that one small part when when Arthur basically landed in her house, and basically when you have Merlin and her like basically fighting. So yes, okay, we can count her. I mean, we can yes.
And you said Pete earlier, right?
Okay. Yes, I did. Also, I will mention Pete. I will say I did say Pete, but I will say Pete because of two movies. One, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, the Three Musketeers, and two, Mickey, the Prince, and the Pauper.
In
those two movies, Pete was the villain.
What about Mortimer? I don't know if he'd be a villain or more of like
Beg your pardon?
I don't know if he'd be more of a villain or an anti-hero.
Sorry, the voice a little bit free, so I didn't quite hear. Could you say it again?
What about Mortimer? I don't know.
I did mention him.
Okay.
I did mention him,
did-
and of course, I also mentioned Professor Radigan from the Mouse Detective.
Okay, so we got.
Did you
more.
get? Did you get the villain? Did you get the villain in the first Frozen film?
Yes, I did say Hans.
I can't. I think you
I
smashed
think-
it. You've
Wait and see if there's anything.
I think I said all of them.
Yeah, I think you got them all.
yeah, you would. Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those are just anime movies. Because trust me, if we went with the TV shows and everything, we will be here much more longer. Yeah, but like I said, if you give me a few minutes, I will remember some of them I didn't said. But anyway, I will appreciate film review critic. I would appreciate your help with Big Hero 6, because that movie was very. It wasn't very near in my mind, but thank you for reminding me. But I think with everything else, I think I said everyone.
Yeah, you were good.
Yeah. Okay. So now we can go with this basically kind of naming competition. We kind of finished. So now we can go to the real discussion when it comes to jumping around different villains and everything. So now basically one of the top things in this discussion is I'm gonna give you two a chance to open a topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Straight away, or do we? Because I thought I've got one on my mind. That's all I'm going to say. I've got one on my mind.
And you, TK, do you have an idea?
I will. Why don't you go first, FRC?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I mean, you guys know your Disney a lot more than me, and I know that this has been a massive discussion over the last few years since I've started been doing them. But as big Disney fans, as people who have watched a lot more movies than I have, these Disney live action remakes, do you think that this is hurting the magic of the original, or is it nice to see? What are your general opinions on? I know that's a very broad question, but in terms of the live action remakes, do you think that they need to stop them? Do you think they need to focus on a few more unknown movies to potentially give the animated one a boost? What's your sort of general feeling?
And again, keep it to the Disney villains topic.
Of course, yeah.
Well, TK, because I already have my answer, but I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm gonna let you go first, Alan, because I need to think about Lord of Shadows, because I need to think about my answer.
Okay, so get ready. They need to fucking stop.
That's it. That's all I needed.
They need to fucking stop those remakes, because not only it hurts the original classics, but also when it comes to speaking of Disney villains, it hurts their reputation. It hurts basically their reputation, because basically, when you have the only live action I don't mind is the Maleficent movies. There's the only two I don't mind, because they're not trying. The director who did those movies, they never tried to make them as a remake of Sleeping Beauty. No, they tried to a different approach, basically. And I like that. They're trying to be more creative. But the others, from Jungle Book, Aladdin, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, and now in 2025, Snow White, they need to stop. Literally, they need to stop. Even Beauty and the Beast, as much as I respect the actors who did those movies and everything, and the directors, they need to stop. If they want to make a live action, then be creative, create new stories, something. Do not remake the same shit. I understand the recycling thing, but you can't recycle always. Because you're doing. Even though I've seen a lot of directors saying, oh, we're going to add something into these movies. We're going to make it a little bit more different. Okay, sure. But those are that's 2-3%. Other things, it's all the same. So my problem is, especially when it comes to Disney villains, let me give you an example. Jafar, in live action Aladdin, I had a big problem with him because, I mean, not the problem with the actor, but he did basically what the director told him. But I'm like, that's not Jafar. I was like, that's more like a sexy model Jafar. So Jafar should be someone you should be scared. They should be intimidating. Not like some kind of sexy model. From the like basically going around with the staff, yeah, take pictures of me. Yeah, look at me, look at my chest. I'm like basically Khan's cousin. I mean, that's one of my biggest problem. Also, Ursula, look, I respect Melissa McCarthy as an actress, and I think she did portray well Ursula. But again, that wasn't the Ursula I fell in love with as a villain.
To me, that was a really odd casting. Like when I saw Melissa McCarthy there, I thought, I'm not sure.
The energy that she brought to Ursula, that was okay. The energy was there. The portrayal, the voice was there. But I hate when they're trying to give more layers to these villains. Because this old excuse, we're going to make them less evil. We're going to give them more reasons. Why can't you just simply make characters that are evil all the way till the end? Why do you have to give them excuses? Again, I'm not saying it is bad. Of course, you can explore a villain as much as you want, but don't give me that redemption or something in the end, or at least a stupid. It kind of goes against my point of view of King Magnifico. It kind of goes against what I'm saying, but the point is that make a villain as an actual villain. Do not make them more human, more relatable. Just make a bad guy, or a bad girl, basically, Yeah. So I think so my point is they need to stop. And also, if they want to do live action, then be creative, create something new.
So I kind of agree and disagree a little bit. So I'm trying to think the best way to say this so it actually makes some sense. So I agree that I have mixed feelings about some of the live action movies because I feel like as a whole, I feel like in part I don't know. I mean, they're definitely not as good as the originals. I haven't been too I don't feel like they've been bad, although the one villain I wasn't crazy about was Scar in the live action Lion King, primarily because they killed his villain song.
Oh my god.
They dropped it down to
the way how
they dropped it down to
the way how they
and it
exactly, yes.
And that really bothered me because I feel like he needed that villain song. So I don't know. I think that in terms of the villains, I think Alan is right with that. They're in that. I don't think they translate as well into live action as they are in animation. And I would give Alan the point too that I think that, and I was thinking about it the other day too, that they really do add motivations and try to flesh out the villains. And I don't know if that's the best thing to do in some of the cases, because I don't think some of the villains really need the huge backstory.
And I think that's the case as well with villains as a whole now, not just Disney, but all the superhero stuff and the Star Wars stuff. I don't want to go too off topic, but I think, like you said, Disney live action films and the way they portray their villains is so linked to the way that everyone seems to be doing villains now, and it ruins it. It's such a big aspect of a film when you have a really great hero and a villain that you try and say no like them, and I think that's one of the biggest. It's one of the most consistent problems I have with every live action film. Everyone they've come out, I've liked them, I've not liked them as a film, but as you said, I don't think any villain has really excited me or got me got me interested in it. I just find that the villains do fall under the same problem.
Exactly. I mean, like, let me give you another example. By the way, TK, I did watch Wish finally, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the critics are too cruel with this movie. They're really too cruel because this movie doesn't deserve that much hate. It really doesn't, and because I thought, like, I just want to kind of give my short opinion about it. Like, basically, I thought the story was, very solid. I really liked the story. The songs, oh my God, the songs are so memorable, so good. And again, King Magnifico, like, this is the thanks I get. Oh my God, his song is so good. Like, I was like in the beat. Like, I was like, wow. Like, I was really into it. Like, and Chris Pine knocked it out of the park. Oh my God, he was King Magnifico.
He was dancing. He was loving life.
Yes. Oh my God, and the way how they did that song, and also that I'm not gonna go into deeper into spoiler because of you, Kieran. But
please, if you want to.
No. I want you to experience this movie. I really want you to experience it because this movie is an experience. Trust me.
Okay.
So I will say this: like, there is a moment in this song that TK, you know what I'm talking about. Like, when he's basically transforming into, like, he's like comedic, like, singing voice to, like, very, like, diabolical, crazy. Which part I'm talking about. Yeah. And then, like, from that moment, then immediately, like, turns back, into his normal self. Like, that was like, wow, like, that is so cool. And again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there is I've seen a lot of people complaining about King Magnifico that his character wasn't developed that much. Because, like, there's a moment at the beginning, and I know, TK, you know what I'm talking about. There's a moment where he kind of, like, explores a little bit of his past, why he is who he is, and then, like, they basically did that and moved on. Like, they didn't come back at any time. Personally, I had no problem with that. I was, like, happy to basically use my imagination to kind of, oh, what could have happened? Maybe this, maybe that. Like, if I was a storyteller and if some people complain about that, I would, like, just use your imagination. Like, there's a lot of villains that you don't need to have a deep, full explanation. Just give them a little taste, a little information, just enough so they can swallow it. Like, oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, okay, I get it. And overall, like, I was so happy with King Magnifico because I said before, this classic Disney villainy is back. And I'm really, really happy about that. I really am. So basically, people saying that King Magnifico, he had no motivation, nothing. He was just simply playing evil. And I'm like, okay, what about the Evil Queen? What about Maleficent? What about Gaston? What about Captain Hook? What about Frollo? What about, Alameda Slim? I can name you all sorts of Disney anime villains that had no motivations. Basically, they just gave you enough so you kind of understand where they're going, but no origin explored. Nothing was explored. And yet, they still became classic, cult-like, epic villains. Even Scar, like, his past wasn't explored at all. No, he was basically a lion, just like, very Shakespearean villain who's craved for power, who craved for throne. Because most of the villains, they either crave for revenge, jealousy, obsession, power, conquering. 5 classic villain goals.
Now, that's $1 million question, Lord of Shadows. How many Easter eggs did you pick up in the movie?
A lot. I have to tell you, a lot. And even though I do bet a lot of them also escaped my eye, but I did captured a lot.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it on Disney Plus and watch, because I heard there were like over 100 Easter eggs and references in that movie. I'm like, I think I only got like 10 or 15, like, first time around. So I'm gonna have to go back and, like, watch it. I, like, pause it.
Do you know like the Asha's grandfather?
Yeah.
The reference they did on his age, basically, I was like, "Oh, Disney, you bastards! Clever, clever, clever."
Did you see
know,
the
like-
after credit scene?
Yes, it was. I would say this. I don't want to be cruel to the movie, but like, people can actually skip it if they want to. Like, it wasn't something like cinematic universe level. No, but like, but it was fun. I would say this. It was fun.
I like the tie-in. I mean, I like the way. I like the scene. It just wasn't like. I wish there'd been more of it. Like, I felt like it was too short, and they could have done more of that. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It just like, I think you're right. I don't think it's necessarily worth staying for.
Exactly. And like I said, for me, King Magnifico was explored enough. Like you don't need to like and I will say this. You and I, TK, discussed about this. But I actually believe he is worthy to be on the table with the classic villains.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I think he's worthy to be on the table. On the Disney classic villain console. I think he's worthy. And I think like he for a lot of people, I think he will still be memorable, by the way. And also just a little bit of the topic of Disney villains, the GOAT. I was laughing, giggling the entire time. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell people were watching. For me, I was giggling and laughing the whole time. And of course, I love Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. I love
Anyway.
it.
But the one thing I will say when it comes to Disney villainy in general, because people are doing it, because studios are doing this almost every time now, and this needs to stop. Even though I loved Raya even though I loved oh my God, what's the name of that girl that Raya rivaled in Raya and the Last Dragon?
Oh, crap.
Let me check. I'll check it out. Just a moment. Wait, I have it somewhere here.
Is it Amari?
Yes, it's her. Yes, Namari. Yes, like even I was like when I saw her character, I was like, oh, good. Like we're gonna have an actual villain. But then in the end, I mean, it kind of gets with the story. I get it, but I was like, man, like I had enough of the good guy, and then tom, villain in the end. Like Hans or Mayor Bellwether or Robert Callahan, aka Yokai from Big Hero 6. Even like. I'm hoping they're gonna leave that category alone for a bit, like in the corner, like and I'm tired of villains getting redemption arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a villain that is pure evil, and I'm hoping with Wish, they're gonna bring back that villainy, because the directors, I actually watched the discussion where they were talking about bringing King Magnifico to life. One of the directors did say that his favorite movies are where you see the villains from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you see their evil from the beginning. And I love that. Like, that's it. Because and that's what Strange World and Encanto were missing. Villains. They could have easily made Bruno the villain in Encanto, or Strange World, like a rival archaeologist or explorer, basically, being a bad guy, like anything, So I'm really hoping that the redemption thing and the twist villain, I'm really hoping they're gonna push it aside a little bit, and basically bring back the classic villainy, because enough is enough. I know what you guys think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think in terms of, I mean, again, I'm going to make a link between one of the greatest, one of my favorite Disney villains in Captain Hook. You watch every version of like Captain Hook animated and live action, and it's brilliant. Like, it's just great. and I think they all do something completely different. Then you get to this live action one we've had this year, Peter Pan and Wendy, and again, as we've discussed, villain arc, backstory, and it just ruins it. It just completely and utterly ruins it, and I don't get it at all. Raya and the Last Dragon I enjoyed. I wouldn't say it's something. The villain wasn't something that I particularly thought was great. Voiced by Gemma Chan, actually, who was Cersei in Eternals. I think she's a great actress, but for me, no, the character didn't really work. But no, I'm looking forward to checking out Wish purely because of the villain. Like when I watched the trailer, that was what intrigued me a lot more than anything else. And Chris Pine's a fantastic actor. I think he's great. So I'm intrigued now. From positive thoughts from you guys, I respect your opinions a lot on movies. So I'm interested now. I think that's going to be a good one.
You know, I would say this: when it comes to big twist villains, I think the ones they're all okay. When it comes to big twist villains that worked for me were two characters. When it comes to big twist villains in the end, there are two characters that work for me. One is Commander Rourke from Atlantis. That twist worked for me way more. And King Candy being revealed to be Turbo. Those two are the only when Disney started with the big twist villains. Those two are the only ones that I always enjoy when it comes to their twist because it was built well. You're not
going to do. You're not putting Callahan in there from Big Hero 6.
I mean,
because I think that added so much to the plot. I think it added to the plot the same way I think it did in Wreck-It Ralph. I think it added a lot to Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, let me try to explain when it comes to Robert Callahan. Let me try what the problem I had with him. First and foremost, ever since he was introduced, don't get me wrong, him being the villain, for me, it was very predictable. I knew he's going to be the villain because first and foremost, the first clue that got me that some character that we already seen, we already know is going to be the villain is because when you see Yokai not speaking at all in the trailers, when you have a villain that is not speaking whatsoever, that means he's going to be a character that we already seen before in the movie, And when I saw Robert Callahan, even like with the guy who voiced him, because he's also known to play bad guys, I already knew that he's going to be the villain. So basically,
that's fair enough.
Yes, don't get me wrong. His story worked, and the build-up also worked. But again, for me, because I'm the villain's life, so I've seen this 1,000,000 times, this kind of story. So I already saw it coming, basically. Even when I saw it in the theater, I already saw this coming. I'm not gonna say a mile away, but like a little bit closer. But I did saw it coming. But doesn't mean he was bad. It doesn't mean his villainy wasn't bad. No, he was good. But again, I really hate. I mean, not hate. I'm getting tired of like people saying, well, like, oh, we need villains be fully explained. We need to give them motivations. We need to connect with them. I'm like, they're bad guys. Like you don't need to connect with every one of them. Jesus, let them be evil for the sake of it. Bloody hell.
Just imagine if Disney gets a hold of Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Then the real nightmare will be basically unicorns, angels, and fairies and rainbows. And you will see basically Freddy Krueger, instead of being all burned up, you will see him with chicken pox, and he would be tutu saying, yeah, "Welcome to my nightmare." And instead of having knives on his glove, he will have fucking lollipops.
Yeah,
simply pull out and it's here, have a lollipop on me. I mean,
and I have a question for both of you. This is going to be a tough one.
Oh God, it's only a Tuesday night.
Who do you think is the best cast Disney villain?
Ooh, I have a bunch of them. I'm. You know what, Kieran? You go first.
No, please, honestly, you go first because I'm racking my brain. Go on.
So, the best voice cast.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I have a good one if you want me to start.
You asked me, so I'm gonna go first, but it's so hard. I have to choose one of them because there are a few who are really well casted. But I will go with the one which for me is easy, but I'll stick with it because I felt like he really made the character. Jeremy Irons as Scar. He was so good. Oh my God. Well casted. And you?
I'm just trying to
TK or you?
Yeah,
Kieran.
No, let TK go first.
So I'm actually, I'm actually going to go with the same one that you said, Alan, Jeremy Irons, because, and I don't know if you know this, but he actually, when he sang "Be Prepared,"
yes,
he blew his vocal cords out.
Yeah, when he was like with the part like you weren't gonna sniff without me. Like that was the part that basically blew his vocal cords, and Jim Cummings had to like barge in, drop in, and basically take over.
It's ironic. The person who finished that song wound up being the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. You know, I will say this. You know, actually, for me, I just want to mention like a honorable mention, who I think also rivals like best voice cast in Disney anime movies when it comes to villainy. I'm gonna have to go with Tony Jay as Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame. Oh okay. My God, like he was phenomenal. Okay, now you, Kieran.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck between two. I'm going to say it probably is an honourable mention. Go George Sanders as Shere Khan and Jungle Book, just because I think I think animals are really, really difficult to voice because in terms of villainy, and I thought he was really great in that. But the one I am going to go with is Alan. I can't think. How do you pronounce his surname? Is King Candy.
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk, thank you. Yeah, King Candy. Just because I think it was such a... What I liked about it as well is that I really like when I watch animations and stuff like that, when I watch it and I go, who voiced this character? And then you completely don't know who it is. And I think he just was he's really great voice work. And I think he did such a good job in that film, and his vocal range throughout the whole film I thought was really, really good. And as we said,
you will not hit that
as we said, yeah, it's like, great. I know it's just really high pitched, but then really sort of like drowsy and just sort of like a little bit like just very basic minded character, and that's the way his voice describes. So yeah, I'll go with that one. I think that was a good one. But Jeremy Irons, I didn't want to copy your answer, but yeah, Scar is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna say just one thing about Alan Tudyk, like you know, he's always like before he was revealed to be Turbo, like I mean, like you know, he was like really like goofy and everything. Kind of remind me of Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, which ironically he was based on that. But basically, you know, like you know, he's like, you want to hit a guy with glasses? You're gonna hit the guy with glasses. Well played. Like I love that. But also when he was revealed as Turbo, like the tone of his voice changed into like maniacal and like evil. Like when he's like, "I'm Turbo, the greatest racer ever." Like, and when he's like, you know, I'm not, and I did not come here to reprogram this world to give you an auto-steering Warhawk taken away from me. Like the way how his tone changed, I was like,
within the
that's
scene
brilliant.
as
Like,
well.
yeah,
Within the scene
yeah,
as well, like when he went from like Turbo and King Candy, he like just that transitional period of like him just sort of turning into it. I thought was really great, and it
yeah,
really
yeah.
added
And
something. Really,
I really loved how they animated the glitching. I really love that.
that was well done. What was it like
Yeah,
2012 that film came out? So
yeah.
yeah, pretty really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see Alan Tudyk's range, watch him or listen to him in the Disney movies, and then watch 42.
Oh, I watched 42.
That is like he's completely opposite like of every Disney movie he's ever in that movie.
I think, like, I would say this. I think Alan Tudyk is becoming for Disney just like John Ratzenberg was for Pixar.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean,
Yeah,
I think like I think this is such a big honor for him.
I mean, I've got his Disney movies here in front of me, like specifically just Walt Disney, but like Encanto, Zootopia, Moana, Big Hero 6, Frozen, both Frozen's, Wreck-It Ralph, as we mentioned, Raya and the Last Dragon. Ralph Breaks the Internet is in that one as well. So, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
Strange World, he was in that.
Yeah, and Ralph Breaks the Internet. He was the he was the Google search guy.
Yeah, he was in Wish. He was in Wish.
Yeah, of
Hey,
course, he
Alan,
was the goat.
I'm going to stop my camera for a sec.
Hey, no problem.
So I mean, yeah, incredible. So yeah, that'd be my answer.
Did you ever watch Princess and the Frog?
I watched half of it. And I
Yeah,
don't know
because
why.
because as an honorable mention, I also want to mention Keith David as Dr. Facilier. I think like he was also great in that
that was
role.
good.
Like, yeah, I mean anything that Keith David does when it comes to voiceover, because we have to remember he's an actor who also made a career in voice acting. You know, like all the way from like Gargoyles.
Yeah.
You know, and so him as Dr. Facilier, like he was really good. You know, and also. You know, like I really love his song, like the Friends from the Other Side. I really love his song. I mean, I would have to say like his song is like one of the best Disney villain songs I ever listened.
I'd give a shout out as well to Mayor Lionheart, J.K. Simmons. I really like him as an actor.
Yeah, you know,
think
when it
he
comes
was
to
good.
villains, I really have to give a shout out, because that's what I'm saying, because I really had a big number of like who is the best voice cast, but I really have to give a shout out also to James Woods as Hades. He was so good. Oh my god! Like the energy, the dialogue. Oh my god, he was so good. Like my favorite scene when it comes to Hades, you both watched Hercules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UTK? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, there's a scene, and this is my favorite one in the movie when it comes to Hades. Like when he's like, you have pain and panic. Like, you know, one of them is drinking a soda, and the other one is wearing shoes from Hercules. And basically, he's like, I got 24 hours to get rid of this bozo. An entire scheme I was setting up for 18 years because I've been smoke, and you are wearing his merchandise. And then you see him thirsty, and he's like, ah! He explodes. That was such a great scene. Oh my god! I mean, James Woods, he was great. He was great. Oh my god! What was your topic, TK?
Yeah, my topic was the voice actors.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, okay, I'm gonna give you. This is gonna be a little challenging topic, but like, I want to go a little bit to explore like the underrated Disney villains. You know, like villains who are not given too much attention, basically. So I want to ask you two, like, who do you think is the most underrated Disney villain?
I'm going to say Ratigan.
Fair enough. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, I would say I'd say Pete.
Okay, fair enough.
Mephisto.
Son of. Oh my god, you and your Mephisto. I said it before. I'm gonna write to Kevin Feige and I'll tell him, please, for God's sake, bring Mephisto to the MCU and just finish this already. Bring him in, just so that my friend can be happy and stop being a pain in the ass.
So my friend can be happy.
just like Yokai in Big Hero 6. This ends now. Oh my god.
That's great.
Can you? I would tell you. Can you imagine a Disney movie, an anime movie, where the main villain is the devil?
No.
Oh my god.
They've got far too many problems at the moment. They're just not. Don't put that one as well. My God.
Oh my god. Now for you, Kieran, who is your most underrated villain in Disney?
I'm gonna say Jonathan Freeman, who voices Jafar in Aladdin.
Wait, you think Jafar is the most underrated?
In terms of performance?
No. I mean, as a villain, as a character.
Oh, as a character. I thought you meant performance. That one is my answer for that one.
Jafar.
Yeah, Jafar. No one knows who that is.
Jafar is one of the most well-known epic Disney villains.
I know. But no, in terms of a performance, I would say I thought he was really good in that.
Okay, but as a character.
Yes, as a character. I'm trying to think. I can't think now. That was my answer lined up, and I feel like now it's. No, I can't think of one. You have to come back to me. Yeah, come back to me. I'll think of one.
Fair enough. For me, I'm gonna mention 3 because it's a tie. It's a big tie. But there are 3 villains for me that I think that they're very underrated and should be talked a little bit more. I mentioned him in my listing before. I don't know if you heard him. I don't know if you heard me naming him. But number 1 is the Horn King from the Black Cauldron. I don't know if you two ever watched this movie.
Oh, the Black Cauldron, yes.
The Horn King. He's one of the most underrated Disney villains I've ever seen, and I think he deserved more respect. Seriously, as a character. That's one. The other one is. Now, this is a movie that a lot of people didn't like, but I liked it. It's one of my Disney guilty pleasures. Alameda Slim from Home on the Range. And also a really wonderful example when it comes to King Magnifico. Because, just like King Magnifico, we had a little explanation of his origin. Alameda Slim had the same thing with one small scene in his hideout when he said basically back in the day, I used to work in the highfalutin ranchers you ever seen, but those stuck-up ranch bosses couldn't appreciate my talents, And I'm like, that's it. That's all you need to basically give him a reason why he's doing what he's doing, And of course, you had the brothers going, maybe they didn't like your singing, which was basically, if you remember, yodeling. If you remember that big scene, big number of him yodeling when he was trying to take the cattle.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Alameda Slim is a villain. He's basically a cattle rustler, But I think I never thought of him as a bad villain. I thought he was a really cool villain, basically, And especially, I really like the idea of the Disney movie in the Wild West.
Yeah.
So basically, Alameda Slim, and the third one for me will go to. Let me see. Okay. We'll go to Prince. Wait Wait, just give me a moment. I always mixed up those two. Wait a minute. Hood, Prince. Okay. We'll go to Prince John from Robin Hood.
Okay.
He's a very buffoonish kind of like villain, but like I like him, and also I mean, come on, a character that is voiced by Peter Ustinov, like that was brilliant. You know, like so those are my three underrated villains. I will add one more for fun. Commander Rourke from Atlantis, the guy who was leading those mercenaries.
Okay.
Yeah, those four for me are like one of the most underrated villains. You know, I mean, they do deserve some respect as characters. You know, because I don't think they were badly written. I don't think they're villains who should be forgotten. You know, like even like their movies itself, like The Black Cauldron, Atlantis, Home on the Range, and like even like Robin Hood. I mean, it's been a long time, like between Robin Hood and Zootopia, it's been a long time since we had like an animal hybrid like movies. So, you know, like I mean, like for me personally, every single Disney villain. I mean, I'm saying that for every single fictional villain, but like for Disney villains, every single one of them is unique in their own way. You know, and those four are the same thing, you know. And I think so. That's why I think that they should be brought back to the light, no pun intended. You know, as characters, like to be a little bit more appreciated, basically.
I've got one. I thought of one as you were talking. Sabor in Tarzan doesn't speak a word of dialogue. In the film, I know we had Brian Blessed.
You mean Sabor?
Sabor, there we go. Yeah, Sabor. I think that was like a, you know, we're talking about villains as like, you know, just ruthless in that case. And I know we had Brian Blessed as the main one. Was it Clayton?
Clayton.
Was that? Yeah, Clayton.
Clayton, yeah.
And, I think that was a really great addition to, you know, we're speaking about, you know, people like Scar and Shere Khan. That one probably should be chucked in the discussion as well. Even though, but the thing is, it knocks it because it doesn't talk. But I think the ruthlessness of it really works.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's one question I want to ask you. Now, which one of the villains' death do you think is the most darkest of them all?
Of the ones we've mentioned?
Any ones that you can remember. Like, remember, like a villain's death that is like dark and also maybe disturbing.
I definitely think Scar. Gaston.
Nah, there was a particularly nasty fall, you know, but that's all in general.
I might say Captain Hook from the first Peter Pan.
He didn't die. He was just simply chased by the crocodile.
I'm trying to think. Scar. This is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to rack my head who the Disney villains that actually like died. I know Scar.
Did they have to die? Have they got to?
I mean, we're talking about like, you know, the villains who actually died on screen.
The Horned King, Black Cauldron. That one was.
You mean how he was sucked into the cauldron? Yeah. Okay, that was disturbing. The way how he was sucked in.
Just the character in general, like
oh my god,
it's one of them where it's like the most disturbing character needs a disturbing death, and he got both. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Okay, UTK.
I think I'm gonna go with Scar because I mean, being being eaten alive, kind of. Yeah.
But I think like here's one who can top all of them. Clayton. Do you know how he died? Like, basically Tarzan threw all the lianas on him, and like he was trying to get rid of them. One of them was on his neck. When he cut off the last one, he fall down. You hear him screaming, and then you see the liana basically going like this. He and then like when Tarzan falls down from the lightning, you see the shadow of how his body is like dangling. And I'm sorry, but that's pretty disturbing to see his dead body dangling. Like that. Like I mean, I remember, like my father told me, like like wow, like that's very traumatizing. Like how could they can show like an actual guy's body, like in a cartoon, like and even though for me it wasn't traumatizing, but I did feel like a little bit uncomfortable, like seeing from the shadow of his body like dangling, like so yeah, okay, Scar was eaten alive, the Horn King was sucked up and everything, but I think Clayton's death, I think, is like the most disturbing and darkest of them all.
Could you say, I'm going to botch the name up, so do tell me off. Zyra's death in The Lion King 2.
Oh yeah.
When she's falling, but just a smile.
Yeah.
That's what got me, the smile of it. It was just like, wow, you're just bad until the end. Like a lot of villains, when they die, it's like, they're worried. She's just smiling. As I go, her as well, probably.
Well, first and foremost, like you have to remember, she was like a really psychotic lioness. Like she was a psychopath, and
and to have that all the way till the end is crazy.
Exactly, she was evil all the way to the end. And I remember, I remember Simba was trying to save her, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He was trying to save her, or it was her children, or his children. I'm not quite sure. But one of them actually was trying to save her, and she basically let go of herself, and she fell down. Like she was literally stampeded, just like Mufasa. Talk about poetic justice. Like she was stampeded, like by those, just like Mufasa. And yeah, I mean, that is a horrible way to go, because being stampeded, that's actually, how can I put this? A very slow death and painful. But, but again, for me, I'm going with Clayton's death. I think like that was like the darkest of them all. But some people will say even Frollo's death, because he fell down into the like burning magma like liquid, with a gargoyle. But like I was like, yeah, but that was just just like a, but it was like, yeah, but that his death was like jumping in a pool, jumping in a body melting pool. But like it wasn't like something scary. So I'm sticking with Clayton.
Yeah, that does sound like a dark death.
I mean, actually, what's dark about Frollo's death? It's more like metaphorically speaking. Basically, his last lines were, and he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit. Then basically he jumped and grabbed the gargoyle, and the gargoyle came to life. And basically, he fall down with the gargoyle, and that basically that plunge basically to his death was basically like a metaphorical way to say, like, welcome to hell, basically. If you kind of get my metaphor about his death.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, he went to hell, basically, through that fall, and he kind of goes again with, with what he said. Some people even say that also one of the darkest deaths is Dr. Facilier, in Princess and the Frog, when he was like pushed into he was like dragged into the underworld by like all the voodoo magic, But that was like, that was more nasty than dark. It wasn't actually that scary.
What about the Evil Queen's death?
I mean, again, that's basically kind of goes with your imagination, because like, okay, she falls down into the into the pit. The big stone falls down, basically with her, squashes her like a pancake, and but I think like the thing that kind of makes it more dark is basically when the buzzards just going down, like basically saying, her death saying, "Hello, dinner is ready. Come on, jump in." So I think that the buzzards are the thing that kind of made her death like kind of like dark. But overall, her death was how can I put? I always put it like that. A particularly nasty fall, basically. Every time when a villain falls to his death, I'm every time like, that was a particularly nasty fall. Every time. Yeah. So I want to ask you this. Now, usually Disney was always surrounded with like fantasy, like movie, anime movies, fairy tale and all that on that. Now we had seen some like present time movies, video game kind of like movies, superhero movies, but the type of like villains I want to see again. Now this kind of goes like with Alameda Slim, but like I want to see like a Western anime movie, but this time not like with free cows or chickens or something. Like give me an animated movie about Wild West, like basically I don't know, a sheriff or a bounty hunter that's kind of like the main character or something, or give me an actual anime pirate movie. You can. I mean, I said before, you can. Let's just say you can make a pirate princess. Just saying, you can make a pirate princess. Another basically joining the princess club. But yeah, and also I don't know, but I would really love to see a princess, but it's like in a sci-fi Disney movie.
I was going. You stole my answer. I was going to say sci-fi, but kind of mixes more leaning towards like Star Wars, Star Trek rather than Star Wars, because I think that would be a little bit. I don't know. I feel like you could probably handle it a little bit better. But yeah, I was going to say a sci-fi one, because I just think this idea of like the animation style and going to all these different planets, I think would be really quite cool. And then animated style.
Yeah, but also I want to see like Disney anime movies, not so much involved with princesses, but like, for example, mythological creatures. Like, for example, like goblins or trolls or leprechauns or Bigfoot or Yetis, like something, like, or, well, we already had mermaids. Okay, we already had that. Or even like, hey, give me a Disney anime movie about ghosts. That could also work,
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking like Coco, like ghosts, or like, but like more like, like an actual Disney anime movie about ghosts. Like, and again, not any involvement with humans. Just simply like this world of ghosts.
The only thing I'm going to comment on that, and I completely agree with you that I think a ghost one would be quite cool, but I think Disney have got to restrict the horror side enough to make it still like a family film. That's I watched a Haunted Mansion and this year, and I don't know, that's got all like the humans and stuff like that. But again, Disney, I felt like they were really trying to push the horror elements as much, and it didn't really work, because I felt like it was just not scary enough. So I really hope they do, but Disney and horror don't really seem to mix very well, or they seem to try and push the horror element, but they've got to remember the family audience. I'd say a murder mystery one would be good as well. I'd throw that one out there. That would be quite an interesting one.
That'll be interesting, but I mean, I would love to see like a Great Mouse Detective type of like anime
Yeah.
movie when it comes to Disney. I would really love to see that. But and also when it comes to ghosts, you can make it like a comedy family like anime movie about ghosts. Like you don't have to make it horror aspect. You can make it like a super fun time story. With ghosts, and again, because like I said, I want to see. I want to see villains like for example, Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Like I want to see like those kind of like villains. I want to see ghost villains. I want to see pirate villains, like more than just Captain Hook. I want to see sci-fi Disney villains. But even more, I want to see like a cowboy outlaw, villain. But instead of like cattle wrestling this time, give me a crime lord, like someone who's basically the kingpin of old Wild West.
I have one. This is kind of going to be too generic, I think. But
Go
so
ahead.
we were talking about earlier about like how you were talking about, Alan, the twist Disney villains, right?
Yep.
I think they should do a Disney movie where like they do a major twist and the villain is actually like the princess.
Oh, that'll be a good twist.
Like if
That'll
they
be a
could
good
figure out how to
twist.
do the setup and like go through the movie, like believing she's the good guy, and that would be a really cool twist if they could do that right.
Yeah, but also like I think like what I also want to see again, there's a really cool twist, but I want to see a movie. For example, I want to see a Disney anime movie, and that's why I love Wish, because I want to see a movie where basically like a prince and a princess are not together in the end.
Yes.
They're either enemies or they're like friends, basically. I want to see a Disney anime movie where the main character is a prince, not a princess. Like okay, because the thing is, we have so many Disney princesses right now. Like we have so many. I'm like, how about Disney prince? Let's like fill them up a little bit. Like give me a movie where a prince is the main character. Because you can also expand their club, not just simply the princesses club. I want to see, and also, but I think like the desire I want to see like a prince going against the princess.
Yes, and
Where
actually,
the princess is the villain.
If they do a movie with the prince as the main character, make him or actually give him a name.
Oh, you mean like a full name?
Yeah, and give him a name that's actually like that you don't actually have to hunt for.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Like I remember, like one of my ideas because usually sometimes at my free time I write stories. One of my ideas for the Disney anime movie is basically like I have an idea for like a prince, but like in the Italian part, basically, where a prince somewhere down like where Nipple is, where basically like it's kind of like a self-discovery journey, so to speak, but and basically and also it's like a political wedding involved as well. But basically the main villain is a princess from like the north of Italy, and she's also a sorceress. She's also a witch. Like she gambles with like black magic and things like that, and basically now that's a little bit twisted part, but like she collects the souls of a prince. Like she was married like many times, and she collects their souls. And in my story, it's kind of like she's kind of like doing this ritual where she needs like what was the number? Let's just say like 100 souls. Let's put it that way. Like let's just say 100 soul for like her to either become immortal or something. I think like I had an idea for that kind of story, and I think it could actually work for Disney.
I could see that.
That's very similar to like Haunted Mansion, that they needed more souls to do them, but then you can sort of flip it and say that like the married souls, that'd be quite cool. Yeah, and then also you can go through like transitional periods as well, can't you? Like you can have different time eras and different
Because
locations and zones.
exactly
I think that will work
because
really well.
in my story I actually I based this princess in my story. I based from two historical figures. One is Lucrezia Borgia from the Borgia family, the first historical femme fatale, basically. I based her from her when it comes to like manipulating and seducing, the manipulating and seducing, and also the aristocratic part. And the other part, like the black magic sorceress part, I based it on the a noble woman that she used to like bath herself in blood. I don't remember her name. No, I mean, no, it's a true story. Like basically, you can search it out. Like she's an aristocrat, and I don't want to get too graphic, but like she did some very nasty series of well, how can I put this delicately? Murders, and basically drained them.
Yeah, that was delicate. That was delicate.
Yeah, and she basically drained them when you like an orange when you're doing the orange juice. She drained them of their of their blood, and she bathed into them.
Ooh.
Yeah, kind of nasty. Yes, I know. But again, it's a true story.
She sounds nice.
But, yeah, lovely. So basically, I based this character from those two historical figures, and but again,
TK wants to meet her. TK wants to meet her.
No, I think like for the murderous aristocrat, you will be too old now.
Yeah,
you'll be too old now.
I was thinking though I can meet her for juice.
That's the only reason, by the way. That's the only reason why Alan doesn't think you should meet her. She's too old. She's too old. Like this.
Yeah.
You've missed the opportunity. Yeah. Oh no.
But here's the crazy thing. Now there's another story I'm kind of doing, and that is like involving leprechauns. I would love to see like a Disney anime movie about leprechauns. It's a fantasy, so I think it could work as well. But the thing is, if you're gonna do a leprechauns movie, I want to see like a full-on Irish cast.
Yes.
Because I think that's more like original.
Well, I am Irish. I'm very small, so if Disney want to cast me, I'm more than available.
Actually, you know what? After hearing your voice so much, there is actually a character that I created in my story that I think you will actually fit. Your voice will actually fit.
Is it a flattering character, or is it a not nice character? I'm intrigued.
It's a how can I put this? It's a little bit goofy, but it's like an academic leprechaun. A little bit goofy.
I'll take that. That's fine by me. Yeah, send the script to my agent and we'll have a chat.
and the thing is, in my story, there are like bad leprechauns and good leprechauns, and the main villain. Oh my god! I always imagined and the main bad guy, the main bad leprechaun, who's also like a sorcerer, and he in my head. He would have been voiced by Liam Neeson. With with that strong Irish accent that he does possess. I'm like, perfect. Like scary.
Of all the people, like Alan just watched the scene in Taken when he's on the phone and he's like, that's my villain. Like
no,
Am I a good leprechaun or a bad leprechaun? I'm really invested in this character now.
I said goofy academic leprechaun, which means you're good.
Okay, all right, that's good. I'll take that.
Yeah, the character I wrote, it's not like it's not a main character, but it's like support. It's like a supporting character. Like basically, to give you a clue, this character that I'm writing, it has like few scenes, like give or take 3-4 scenes.
That's fine. I'll take the paycheck and I'll go home. That'd be great.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, when I have free time, I write loads of stories, loads of stories.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also this story that I'm writing about leprechauns, like has no humans involved, because that's one of the problems I had with Disney anime movies. When you have like when you have like fantasy like characters and they're like creatures, they're like involved with humans. I think that's also used too much.
But
That's also
may
one
I
of the
ask- may I
problems I
ask-
had.
May I ask a question then? What's
Go ahead.
what's the one movie where having humans and animals? TK, you're more than welcome to answer this one as well. Like, what Walt Disney film do you think having humans and animals where it affects it the most? Like humans being involved. Which one do you think it affects the most? I've really put you on the spot with that one.
Mhm. I'm trying to rack my brain.
Lord of Shadows, you got one?
So far, the only one I mean, it's not animal very centric, but the one I think I'm kind of thinking of right now is Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
It's not animal; it's more like alien-ish, but
Yeah.
that kind of story it works.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because most of the time when it comes to animals and humans, most of the times animals don't talk with humans. Like for example, the Fox and the Hound. For example, like
Yeah.
they're like, for example, like you don't see the dog talking to the human, or like the fox talking to the old lady. Like you don't have that. Like they have their own private world. The humans have their own private world. So it's I mean, the only animal thing I can talk right now is basically Aladdin, where you have, where you have Abu, the monkey, and you have the parrot, Yago.
Yeah.
That's the closest I can think of when it comes to animals.
What about Perry?
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, he's a platypus. He doesn't do much, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Can we also include Mulan with the Mulan and the dragon?
Oh, Mushu.
Yeah, Mushu. Can we
Rufus.
also? Can we
Yeah.
also connect that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Or it's like,
I'd say so.
oh, okay. Also,
The fact
again,
that-
also,
The fact that that
Go ahead.
character's not even in the live action one either. Like, that's
no,
crazy.
Mulan. I will say I have no issues with Mulan, and let me explain why. I have no issues with Mulan because because the director went with like try to make it more connected towards the actual Chinese legend about
Yeah.
Mulan than the actual Disney version.
Yeah.
He wanted to make it more realistic, like more serious in a way. Like there are some like fantasy elements when it comes to magic, especially the lady who turns into an eagle. But I respect Mulan because they push towards the actual legend than like the Disney version. So Mulan is the only one live action that I do not have any problem with.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I want to ask you, speaking of Disney villainy, what kind of okay, you mentioned before TK, but I want to ask you, what kind of type of villain you want to see in Disney in the future?
Ooh, I got a good one, at least a template.
Okay.
I'd like to see a villain translated. Actually, this would be a villain kind of the reverse of what we were talking about earlier. A villain translated from live action to animated. I'd like to see somebody like Mr. Gold Rumpelstiltskin.
Nice.
Robert Carlyle would be a perfect voice for something in Disney.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you want to see? Wait. You want to see like someone like Rumpelstiltskin or actually Rumpelstiltskin?
Somebody like that. Somebody who's kind of like who holds all the cards, sort of, and who kind of like is one step ahead.
So basically, he would be like a mastermind, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Do you have any other wishes? No pun intended.
No, I think that's it. At least that I can think of.
Okay, you, Kieran.
I'm just trying to think.
Now remember, what type of villain you want to see?
Yeah. Like I mean, I know this might be a bit of an unpopular one, but I think in terms of sort of villains, I think if there's any particular villains like wrong place, wrong time, or they did something like within the story that they probably didn't mean to, but they were like chucked into situation, then they become the villain, or they're being made out to be the villain. I think that would be something that they could do.
So you mean you want a villain that it's like as I always like to put it, you wanna have a villain that is like a Two-Face syndrome.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, who you really see.
What I'm trying. The reason why I say Two-Face syndrome is basically like, and I'm using it from the Batman the Animated Series to try to make it more clear. Like basically a character that starts like a good guy or a good, a good character, and then basically throughout the journey of the movie, basically this same character turns into a villain.
Yeah, but also as well, I think they've got to do it in such a particular way where they can't make the character feel like you want to feel bad for them, because that was the sort of the conversation we had earlier. I think the idea we could potentially do is that make this character sort of not a really nice person, but then becomes a villain, and then kind of just go like you're always meant to be the villain, but you're not. So and you can see that full transformation. I'd say.
I see. So a character that becomes a villain by accident.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be interesting.
Interesting. That actually could work. Actually, now that type of like villain twist, I wouldn't mind. That. Now for me, there are a few types I would love to see. For one, I would love to see a pirate, more than just Captain Hook. I want to see a pirate. I want to see. It's been a long time since we've seen one, but I want to see. Okay, no, it's not actually been that long, but since we have Wish, but like I want to see like a Merlin type of like evil wizard. I want to see like an actual old style medieval evil wizard, basically. That I want to see a mad scientist, kind of like villain. And the last one, I want to see is like a ghost-like villain. More precisely, one of my ideas is kind of like, which kind of connects with the Ghost anime movie, like a villain that is like a god of all ghosts. Kind of like, Hades, but more like ghoulish. Those are like the type of villains I want to see. What are you thinking, TK?
I had a thought, but I just lost it. Oh, geez, I hate when I lose my thoughts. I like the ghost villain idea, but that made me think, like, just expanding on that, or kind of related to that, I'd also kind of like to see it would be a ghost, but I'd also kind of like to see a poltergeist situation.
Ooh. You mean like real people against a ghost?
Sort of. So I don't know how you do it. The problem is if they did it, it would make the villain too sympathetic, though. But like if they do a poltergeist, so poltergeist is kind of like attached to a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there could, if they could do that right and like take out the sympathy, that might be a cool situation.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. I get you. Oh, I totally agree with you on that one. But the thing is that if you make, like I said, like a ghost god, kind of like villain, like an actual entity, basically, you can make this villain like pure evil, like no sympathy whatsoever. You can make that, and also now and also you can make like a poltergeist villain, because the thing is, poltergeist can be good and evil. You can give it a poltergeist that is like pure evil, and basically you can kind of like use this kind of like a possession type of thing, where basically the poltergeist, you see him as a ghost, but you also see him possessing a body. That will also be cool. And also, I would really love to see like a Ghostbusters type of Disney anime movie.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I would love to see that.
I think that's how you can put the ghosts in the best way possible, and just sort of make it out as if like, and sort of make it like not have to be like horror based or scary. I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Now, the only way to make it not like very close to Ghostbusters, the only thing you have to make it is, at least my idea would be, for when it comes to these. Right now the title I would have given it was basically Ghost Hunters, but that's the first title that came into my head right now. But what I would love, but basically what I would add into it is that, for example, these ghost hunters are not like using gadgets or anything. They're kind of like using magic as well. Like to kind of keep that magic element into it. Like you can easily make this movie into the present time, no problem. But basically, the way how they're using, like some of them actually have skills. Like from intelligence, making plans and things like that. You can have someone who's like the muscle, or like someone who's like an expert with equipment. But the main thing, what they would use against ghosts is basically actual magic. Like to trap them, to banish them, to possess them, or anything. Like, so I think like that's the magic element you can put in it.
I think these are all great answers. All great answers. The one thing that I really worry about is the sense of like they can be really great villains on paper, and they can fit within these themes and these original ideas. Is one, how they're written, two, sort of who plays them, and three, whether you do give them that redemptive arc. We're not alone when we have that opinion about how let's not give them a redemptive arc. That is Disney's play at the moment, is making them have a redemption arc. That's villains in general. So I really hope that you get a great film and you have a great idea and a story, but then also do the villain right, because it is so important. And I think the role of the importance of villains is diminished because they make them sympathetic.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, especially when it comes to in this case Disney villains. That's the problem, because we were like, we as consumers, like we were so, I would say in a way we became a little bit like spoiled in a way, because now like we need right now, like today we need like a reason why they become villains. They have to be sympathetic. We have to understand them. We has to be something that is relatable to us and everything. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Sometimes you can do this, but not, like I said before, like not all the time. Just give us a villain, because the thing is, you don't have to explain, oh, this character, he or she was born evil. You don't have to explain that. Like, you don't have to do that, but like, just, you can say you can basically build up like how they became evil, but they're just evil, like all the way until the end. And that's the one thing. That's why I said I don't want to see redemption arcs like all the time. I wanna literally see a villain just like King Magnifico. I want to see a villain that is like villain evil till the end. And like I said, I'm not saying to push aside the motivation, the script, the basically the evolution of villains, basically. I don't want to see that pushed away. No, but just push to the side a little bit. Like give us villains that are like that could be worthy just like the classic old villains. Like we mentioned before, Frollo, Captain Hook, Maleficent, Ursula, the Evil Queen, Gaston, like some villains that are worthy of those classic ones, because I said before, you can make a great story even when you have villains that are like purely evil, because the thing is, we need, now more than ever, we need stories where you have a hero facing evil. Not a hero, not a story about like, what's the word? Fighting yourself or self-discovery. Now, this could also be ad, but you need to have a challenge. You need to have a threat, an actual threat.
Now, here's a question with the villains.
Go ahead.
Do you like it better when, like, I'll use The Lion King and I'll actually use The Little Mermaid too, because I just remembered about it. Do you like it better when they, with the villain at the end of the movie, when they actually like resolve the villain, as in like they kill the villain off, or do you like it better when they keep the villain alive in case there's a sequel?
Here's the thing. If they have plans, to kind of like keep him still, in the business, so to speak, if they want to use him in the future, if those same writers have like a vision, for example, let's say, I have a vision for a trilogy, for example. If they want to use that villain, then they have to be very careful, if they want him to live, if they, her or him they want him to live, then that means they have to be very precise. That means, that they have to have a plan, how they're going to use them in a way. So if they kill the villain or let them live, I'm both fine with in either way. But again, if they kept those villains alive, then means, if you want to use them in the sequel, then means you must know what you plan to do. You have to be strategic. So, but sometimes I think like when you kill off a villain and when you do a sequel, I think it's easier because like, you create a new one in a way. But again, anything is possible. So again, I'm okay with both.
I'm gonna give the answer, and it's probably not the most concrete answer. I think it depends on the film and whether it will add to the ending and whether it will really make the film have such a great poise and a great moment where you're like, wow, that was a great ending. And it really hands itself to the story. Like, I think companies now are making a film hoping that they can make a second and a third. They're not films where you're like, I want to tell this story. I think, and coming back to Lord of Shadows' point earlier, I think films now have lost that magic of just sort of like being one singular story. Because if it's successful, they'll go in any direction for the sequel because it's like, this is what you asked for. This is going to make money. Now, and I think that. Go on.
Go ahead. Go, sorry, go ahead.
But I was just going to but in terms of the villain case, I do think if the ending of the film needs that death or needs that moment of like, just let the villain walk away, I think if it hands itself well to the story, I think it could be a really great one. But personally, I like the villains to die because I think like as Lord of Shadows said, you can bring them back or you can bring a new villain into it that can do an even better job. So I think it's based on the film rather than it just being the same for everyone.
Yeah, but because here's the thing, like you can, for example, if you kill a villain, you can easily use him in the sequels by, like, for example, mentioning him or, for example, being somehow connected to the next villain in a way. Like, for example, let me give you, it's a non-Disney property, but let me try to give you an example. Did anyone of you ever watch The Swan Princess?
No.
Oh, it's a very classic non-Disney anime movie. I would really suggest for you to watch it, at least the first one. But like it's a really great like fantasy little movie. It's animated, but anyway. So basically, you have the main villain in the first one. You have this wizard. Yeah, no problem.
I'll be right back.
No problem. I'll keep that example so for TK so he can listen, so he can hear it. Which kind of proves my point. Like.
Yeah, I think the thing that's frustrating me at the moment with villains, just in general, but I think is that when they bring them back for the sequel and then they make them a good guy. So it's like,
Oh my God. I hate that.
They're obviously. I don't think he's going to be a good guy, but and I've not seen the film yet. But from what I've seen from the trailer, and I'm not looking forward to the film at all. Aquaman 2, his brother is now going to be the hero, or he's going to be helping Aquaman in it. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake! Like, really? Do we like? He could have been a villain that we could have killed off, and then there'd been like a bit of a brothers thing, and I think that would have been cool. But yeah, that really winds me up.
I get you.
Anytime Matt's done, it's terrible. No, you go on about that example. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so basically, you have this sorcerer who's called Rothbard. He's basically the one who cursed Odette, the princess, and turned her into a swan. And at every time when there is full moon, she goes to the lake and poof, she's back to a princess. The point is, in the first movie, he dies in the end. But the way how they connected him in the second two movies is basically because like in the next two movies they introduce us to new characters, to new villains. Like one is in the second one there was a sorcerer, Claudius, who lives in a volcano. By the way, big, like very cool hideout. By the way, he's a sorcerer again, a sorcerer. Then you have in the third one you had a female villain, Zelda. No connection to the game, by the way. Zelda, and basically she was a sorceress. The point is how they use Rothbard. Every single one of them was connected to him, either as a partner or as like a former lover, basically. And that's the point I'm trying to say. When you have a main villain from the first movie, that's how you can use him for like flashbacks, mentioning, being connected to other villains or into a greater scope storyline. That's how you can also use villains, even if you kill them off. And of course, there's the old-fashioned thing, when you basically resurrect them. When they basically come back somehow, like in a Sauron sort of way. Where like you destroy the body, but there's like a piece of them who's like still out there. Basically, you can do that as well. But the one thing also, you mentioned it before. Like here on that, one thing I'm really hoping that they're also gonna stop doing is that when you have in the first movie you have the villain, then in the second movie when they return they become good.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I really do not want to see again. Like let me give you an example. When we mentioned like movies, when they're successful they want to create sequels. My philosophy when it comes to sequels, they don't need to be rushed. Basically, if the first movie is successful, great. But the thing is, if you use the same director, if you use the same writer, the point is when you try and do a sequel, you first and foremost you have to work like one movie at a time. You don't plan too much ahead. Because anything can happen. But the point is that if you have a good story, then you do a sequel. Just like, for example, Frozen, for example. Like that's a sequel. That's a franchise that, the Frozen 2, you can definitely see that they actually had an actual story. It wasn't like rushed or anything. They try to put it together. Now, here's the problem I have. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're planning a Frozen 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I heard is that the storyline is going to be very big, that it's going to be divided in two parts. Like they say, it's going to be like on a very epic scale. Now, the one thing I'm hoping, for the love of everything, give me an actual Frozen villain. I actually discussed with some of my other friends who are big fans of Frozen and Disney animation in general. I talked to them when it comes to villains, and one of the ideas I had for like Frozen 3 and 4, first and foremost, give Anna some powers. Basically, let me give you an example. For example, Elsa is like ice and snow. What if, for example, Anna is fire? For example, and she had those powers.
Avatar.
Kind of like. Yeah, kind of, yeah. So basically, but the idea I had was like, what if, for example, she was born with those powers, but they were like in slumber or this time, and basically something happens, like, for example, let's just say Frozen 3, somewhere in the middle, and then her powers awakened, basically. Like, if something tragic or something emotional happened. That's just an idea. Now, the idea I have for a villain, like, for example, if you're going to have a story that is from epic proportions, you need to have a villain that is like an actual threat, not just to Elsa, but to Anna as well. To the entire world, basically. And I thought, and that's very easy. What power can swallow ice and fire? Which is something that kind of like, in nature is actually swallows everything. That's like a little guess. Like, I want to see you guess. Like, what is this power that consume ice and snow and fire? It's something that connects life itself and elements of the world.
Oxygen.
Okay. UTK?
Evaporation? No.
Darkness. Shadows. Darkness swallows everything. So
isn't this bad that we're on a show called The Shadow Counselor? We didn't get that.
Yeah, but you got me there. No, but like, oh, fuck.
You could have just said. There's a cue. There's a clue in the title. Just look at the title of the show.
Okay, fair enough. But the idea. So basically, me and my friends were trying to decide like what kind of a villain they could face, and we all agreed it should be someone with powers, magical powers. And I thought, like, what better way to have like a final confrontation, a villain that has the power of darkness? Like actually, like, the power of shadows, the night, everything. Because like I said, and although my idea was basically that the villain should be like a cursed aristocrat, like a typical fantasy thing, from a kingdom, from a distant land, basically.
I think it's an interesting point you make there about the sequel, because in terms of Disney, I think Disney do it probably the best in terms of like waiting and taking their time with it. So it's like, as we mentioned, Frozen and Frozen 2. I'm big into like release dates and the years that things come out, but like Frozen, the gap between the first and the second one was 6 years. The gap between Wreck-It Ralph 1 and 2 was 7 years. I think the Lion King was 4 years, because it came out. First one came out in 94. I think the second one came out in 98.
4 years is fine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you look at certain films and it takes them 2 years to make one. It's like, oh, you got a sequel 2 years later, and you're like, oh, okay, you've rushed that because they're trying to link to the hype. But I think in terms of taking their time, they could really craft them quite brilliant stories. Here's the problem, which also is a positive. It's very important to take your time and try to come up with a really good story. A story that that, like, I'm not gonna say everyone, but that like the majority would love. But here's the problem in that: if you take too much time, people will lose interest. So that's the kind of like the negative when it comes to sequels. Like, you can take your time, but not like too much time. Like, because like I said, then the interest basically goes down, down, and down. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems, I think, when it comes to Frozen 3 and 4. I know it's like a franchise that it's very famous, but like, first and foremost, like you have to take in consideration when it comes to interest. You have to take that in consideration.
And I've seen a lot of people actually commenting that's Frozen 3 and 4 like what's the word, cash grab, like Frozen 3 and 4, they're just doing this for a cash grab and everything, which, I mean, movie industry is a business, and of course you have to make profits. That's almost everywhere.
There's least successful movies just looking for a cash grab, and then and almost it's like, well, we didn't need that, we didn't ask for that. But I think in terms of the time, I think it's more and more people now are like looking at these, like, I mean, I know it's not Disney, I know we're really going off topic, but like Top Gun Maverick, it took them like 36 years and the popularity was still there. So I think it just depends on the movie. But I think if you take your time and make a great film, I don't think people are like, oh, I'm not really that bothered. If it looks great, what we get on a trailer or word of mouth, I think it could really work. But I appreciate Disney that they take their time, because you have every production company want to get more and more stuff out. As soon as they find something successful, they run with that.
Yeah, but like I said, you also have to take into consideration interest.
Mm-hmm.
That is like interest is basically like a 50-50 gamble. Especially when it comes to like, for example, like I said, the distance between Frozen 1 and 2 like is really long. Was really long, and so, and when it comes to like, because right now they're writing Frozen 3 and 4, so I think that there's gonna be a lot more couple of years before actually Frozen 3 and 4 are out. Not to mention, you also have to take in consideration how long will be the distance between 3 and 4. The release
it's got to
date,
be a year. It's got to be a year.
They
did it in Hunger Games and like Harry Potter. If you're going to split it out like part 1 and part 2, you have to do it back-to-back years. You can't waste any more time, because that would just be crazy.
That's the thing. If you do, like I said, if you're gonna do Frozen 3 and 4, like like a 2-part, if you're gonna do that, like you said, it has to be a year, like in between, like Frozen 3 comes 1 year, and then the second one immediately Frozen 4. They have to do this, because like if they wrote the whole thing, Frozen 3 and 4, like if they wrote the whole story, then there is a chance that they could release it like the year after Frozen 3. But again, we have to wait and see. But like I said, if they do a story, then like they said, it's on epic proportions. I'm really hoping we're gonna get an actual villain this time, because I thought Frozen 2 was a wasted opportunity when it comes to villains. They could have easily get a villain that has like an elemental power.
Yes.
Like for example, a villain that is like fire or earth or the wind or water. Like they could have easily made a villain that is basically had the power of an element easily, but no, they decided to make those like little creatures the symbol of this of those elements. And for me, that's a waste opportunity, because my rule is always, in a story you must always have a villain. Always.
Yes.
You sometimes a story works without one, but you need to have one.
Yes. I've never been crazy about the ones that do a story without a villain. The story has to be a very, very strong story to work without a villain. There needs to be some. I know they use like the idea of conflict as a villain sometimes, I guess. But I feel like they need, I agree with you. I feel like they need somewhat tangible, more so than like just the idea of conflict, or like, I'm using the idea of conflict, but I think unless it's a strong movie and unless it's a strong like conflict, there has to be a villain or like some face.
Exactly. Totally.
I think
actually, go ahead.
I think it's got to have like we said, I think it's got to have a face and somebody to root against, and have this idea of somebody who can, really cause a problem. And I think especially in Disney movies as well, their whole idea is like good versus evil, and traditionally I know that we're massive Disney fans here, but traditionally they are made for kids. That's their target audience. So kids don't really invest in this story arcs and stuff like that. They just look at it and just go, I know you're the villain, I know you're the hero, and I want you to beat him, and then I want it all to be quite happy. When you don't have a villain, you kind of like, oh, Ryan, this is, I really like the hero, but they need challenges, they need things to happen.
Yeah,
So,
but
go on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to round off the point, just saying that I think it needs a figure and it needs somebody to root against.
Yeah, because here's the problem with Disney anime movies today. Because that is something that, and I'm going to quote Brett Bird on this. For understandable reasons, like people today, they get wrong about animation because they think animation is just simply targeted for kids. And that's basically, I think, that's one of the biggest mistakes that Disney is doing now. Because, for example, when Walt Disney was around, when he was alive, he told the story straight. He didn't say it. He didn't tell the story for kids or adults. He just simply told stories for everybody.
Mhm.
And I think Disney should return to those roots. Not being afraid of telling a story that has some scary moments or dark moments or adult moments, because the thing is, now again, you don't have to make it very intelligent, basically, so for the kids will be totally lost. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that, for example, I'm kind of going with Pixar on this one, just to give you an example. For example, Soul, Soul. Me and my friends totally agreed. Soul is a very intelligent movie, and it's a movie that the kids will definitely lose themselves, being very confused. Now, adults will get him. Adults will understand, but the kids, they will understand nothing,
Do you know the one film that ruined that? And again, it's Pixar, is Inside Out. I like Inside Out. I think it's a good film, but this idea of, like you said, having kids enjoy it, parents get a lot out of it. I think that balance, as you said in Soul, I completely agree that it contrasts a lot of the time. It contradicts one another, and which one do you go for? That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
but here's the thing: Inside Out, I think, had a balance between kids and adults. I think Inside Out basically was a movie that even kids can understand, but also the adults can understand. And so that's the point that I think actual Disney animation needs to return to those roots where basically they where you can have the balls to not just simply kill off a villain, but also like I said, show adult material. No, that's actually sounds wrong. Show moments for adults, show dark moments, show serious moments, show moments even for kids, goofy, funny, whatever. The biggest example, Hunchback of Notre Dame. That movie was very dark and serious. I think the most serious Disney anime movie of all, and it was great. He had some lighter moments, had some humor, and the villain was I think Frollo is definitely the darkest villain of them all. I think he is, and that's the Disney I want to see, and that's the problem because even when I saw Wish, Wish was definitely centered more around to kids, definitely. But there were some moments where I was they could have go a little bit darker or a little bit adult, and that's the thing, because I know that Disney's trying to no, we're gonna keep it family friendly, we're gonna keep kids and all that. I get it, but you have to take some risks. You have to, for example, a sequel that I need in my life, and if I was working for Disney, I would have done anything to bring it back to life. I would have loved to see Treasure Planet 2. Because the thing is, when Treasure Planet was released, they had already plans for a sequel, for a TV show, everything, and for what I actually could dig up when it comes to informations and scripts and concept arts and everything, it would have been a damn good, interesting movie. and the story was like really great. And the thing is, they had a fucking artificial pirate robot as the main villain, called basically Steelbeard. And actually who was supposed to voice him? Willem fucking Dafoe.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
Oh my god! Like, I was like trying to imagine when I saw the concept art of this character. I was like trying to imagine in my head how he would sound like, and I was like, oh my god, I would have loved to hear Willem Dafoe as the Steelbeard guy. Also, in the Treasure Planet 2, we wouldn't explore John Silver a little bit more. When it comes to his younger days, because in Treasure Planet, like, John Silver and everyone who loved that movie will tell you, John Silver is the best part. He was the best character, which also brings me to another thing they need to go back to. They always have like a father, like a daughter, mother, or like mother-son relationship. Why can you not make like a father and son thing, or like a father figure thing, because I've seen it before, like, they always concentrate on the mothers, like the mother is still alive, the father is gone, but why can you not make the opposite? I think that they should do the opposite as well, like, where basically you have a father and child relationship,
Interesting.
or like a father figure. That also, I think, should be brought back.
Yes.
Because, and again, I just want to mention while you're thinking, I just want to mention that throughout these years, animation has shown that it could be even for adults.
Mhm.
Like let me give you an example. For example, Castlevania, that's for adults. Harley Quinn, that's also for adults. Let's see what else. There's also the anime, like Cyberpunk anime TV show. That's also for adults. Basically, and not to mention another example, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Mhm.
That is like way more to adult centered than for kids. And that's the whole point. Like, animation, people have to understand, especially the parents. They have to understand animation is just a medium, not a genre. It's a medium. Genre is like family, thriller, action, adventure, swashbuckling, romance. That's genre.
Well,
Or
and
horror.
to that point, a lot of the original like Disney animated movies, like Peter Pan, Cinderella, I think Snow White, a lot of them were, if they were translated literally like from their original stories into like screen, they would be a lot more adult oriented.
Yes, definitely. And honestly, I wouldn't mind. Not to mention, here's the thing. You brought an example when it comes to Snow White. Snow White, like the actual fairy tale, it's actually is way more darker than the anime movie.
Mhm.
Like, first and foremost, like the main story, you just simply, have the evil queen transform into the old lady, this very creepy witch-like granny, and basically, she gave Snow White the apple. But in the actual story, you had what's the thing called for women that you put, not the corset. What's that thing called that ladies put like right here that you have to like with strings, like tighten up, made it tighter?
Oh,
I can't say I've ever worn one, so I'm not sure.
No, but what the word? I'm saying the name of this thing.
oh, I can see it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so basically the first thing was that. Then we have the comb, and then was the apple. That's one difference. Also, do you want to know the actual ending of the Evil Queen? In the actual book, like, she basically was invited to Snow White's wedding. She didn't know that she was alive. When she came to the wedding, she was surprised. They got her. the prince and the Snow White basically gave her iron shoes, still fucking hot, and she basically died because of the pain and the burns.
But again,
That's
but
the
again, that's
actual
probably
ending.
but that's probably time to me. That's where I think Disney probably try and push their potential, and they're probably pushed a little bit too much. Where they have so many questions about things that they can contain. I think this idea as well of like Disney Plus. Is this all right to put on Disney Plus? Is this going to be something people are going to watch? It's the modern times, but I think animation needs to be a lot more creative. We've seen the way that, the successful animation films such as, Across the Spider-Verse, and we've had Ninja Turtles and sort of things like that, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, where they've been so creative. If Disney can lean into that with the Walt Disney Studios, and as we're saying, animation is, the stereotype is, oh, it's for kids. It's not. It's
No.
such a great way of presenting really great stories, and also having a lot more potential with your stories in the direction they can go than live action. Because we can't do this physically, we can do this in live action. I think that we've said some great stories and great ideas. That's where Disney needs to focus on. They need to focus on their stories, great villains, great heroes, and making these characters great.
Yeah. Also, like I said, not to mention, like, there's a lot of like different fairy tales, especially from the Grimm brothers, that they could easily use and make like a Disney animated movie. Like, okay, this wasn't actually written by the Grimm brothers, but for example, there's the Bluebeard fairy tale that they could easily make into a Disney animated movie, where basically the lesson is the curiosity killed the cat. They can easily that turn into an animated movie, or for example, you have the what's called the Three Musicians, which are basically a donkey, a cat, and a dog, and the rooster. You can that turn into a Disney animated movie, like, or even the actual Rumpelstiltskin. You can that make into an actual movie. Like there's a lot of like fairy tales they can use to make in an anime movie. I mean, can you also imagine a Disney version of Puss in Boots?
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah, like, but this time, without Antonio Banderas. This time, someone else. But make him like, I am Puss in Boots. Yeah, I mean, like, there's also like that's one thing I'm hoping for the future. Like, I'm really hoping that they're gonna stick to the old Disney classic villainy, and hero versus evil. And basically kind of like push like a big pause on like redemption villains redemption, and the twist villains. Like, they should push the button on pause when it comes to those categories, because I've seen a lot of people getting annoyed by this, because some, if you do it rarely, if you do it at special occasions, it works. But if you do it all the time, it gets under people's nerves, just like myself. So I'm really hoping that the classic Disney villainy will be back after Wish, and again, the only wish I have, again, no pun intended, is basically to give us like new but like iconic classic villains. They're like worthy of the old ones as well. And again, and I just want to say this.
Go on.
And I just want to say, please, please, please stop with the live action remakes. And if you want to do live action, do something original, something fresh, something new, because that way it's like, it makes it sound like writers and directors are lazy. That like, we don't have the strength, the energy, we don't care about something new. We're going to do something that's already been done with something new. Like I said at the beginning, if you're doing that, it's the same thing. Even with like, if you do something new. What would you want to say, Kieran?
I was just gonna say, I mean, this is obviously not a review for Wish. I know this is obviously the most recent one. Out of 10, what would you give Wish, both of you? Just so I know.
How much?
10.
Wow. I'm like Uh, now again, that doesn't mean like I'm
gonna go watch it now. The cinema might be closed, but over here in the UK, but I might go watch it now. If it's 10,
yeah, yeah. Okay, I don't try to be like a Mr. Meanie critic, but a 10 out of 10, no. But I will give it like a 9 out of 10 because there were some things that I had some problem with, but like overall it's a 9 out of 10, which for me is still
Okay.
good. And I think that the YouTubers and critics are way too cruel to Wish.
Oh, they are way off base. I don't see
way off.
I don't know where they are getting their reviews from, but they're way off base.
Way off, like because I've seen a lot that like Wish is frustrating. Wish is the reason why Disney anime movies today are like flawed and weak. Like Wish is such a disappointment. Wish is another, I don't know what's the word with burn, cash burn or something. Like I've seen a lot of titles like saying like Wish is bullshit basically, and I'm like, and after watching, I'm like, did we watch the same thing? Because again, I think it's too cruel. I don't think it deserves that 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. I really don't. And and people, and again, people having a problem with King Magnifico being very wasted. I'm like, well, check out the other classic villains. None of them had like motivation explored. None of them. Very rarely. Some of the very rare villains had, but even those didn't have like a Thanos-like exploring character villain journey.
Wish, the reviews for Wish kind of remind me a little bit of The Lone Ranger because because that movie got like lambasted, and then I went to see it the next day, and I was like, well, this isn't bad. I mean, it wasn't the greatest movie ever, but I mean, it was funny. I enjoyed it. I mean, and like
same.
But like reading the critics' reviews, I thought, oh, I'm going to hate this movie. It's like the same thing with it's the same thing with Wish. I went into it thinking, oh, I'm going to hate it, and I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, like again,
that's the biggest thing wrong with like critics and stuff like that. That's why I always have a look at the audience score, because you feel like you've got a more well-rounded opinion of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Because the audience score, like the cinema score, actually, which is basically the audience score, cinema score, they gave it an A-, which again, for me, it's a pretty good rating. For me, A-. But again, like again, The Lone Ranger, like you mentioned, like it wasn't a bad movie, but it was a super fun time. Super fun time, a pretty good Western actually. And this actually kind of reminds me also of this movie I didn't watch for a long time, because it wasn't my taste when it comes to this anime movie, but it wasn't that bad. Chicken Little.
Yes, I forgot about, yes.
Yeah, like Chicken Little, those criticism reminds me of that. But even Chicken Little didn't deserve that much hate, because people even bombarded that movie a lot. And this Wish really reminds me of that. And I'm like, and I was like, oh my God, it's Chicken Little all over again. So again, yeah, I think like Wish people are way too cruel with this movie. Like even some YouTubers, what they're saying, like, because like people, like I said, that's why I think people are spoiled today so much, because as consumers, because they want movies that are like on level of like Titanic or The Godfather or Casino or for example Wolf from Wall Street. Like they want movies like they're like blockbuster successful, they're like awards and things like that. I'm like, what's the problem having movies that are like super fun time? You can make even those movies. If I was a storyteller, I would even make movies that are just simply fun. I never I wouldn't make just simply all the time like masterful like Shakespeare movies. Like if you're targeting that like that high, then basically you're gonna fall down on your ass like very easily.
Because I think all the money, I think it's down to that. It's the money, it's the expectation, it's like the build-up of a company and go, oh, did you see their last two films? They were really good. And then then one of them potentially falls flat, you're like, great. And then I think that, like you said, there's so much choice now where every single weekend. So, for example, I didn't see Wish this weekend. I went to go and watch Napoleon, completely different film, but you've got two big films that are taking money from each other. The summer, look at the summer. You know, there's a movie. There's 2-3 movies every single weekend where you're like, someone's going to lose something because, you know, people are just going to prioritize that one. There's far too much choice. It doesn't allow a film to breathe because you're like, next weekend, what's the next one? Like I do it every Friday. I check what's the film coming out this week. I love doing it, but you sort of go, I watch that one. Yep, that's done. What's the next one next week? And it's overwhelming. And you don't let a film breathe. You don't let a film really be what it is. That's why a lot of successful films don't really get recognized, or there's some that have really bad reviews. Go, I ain't wasting my time with that. I ain't wasting my money.
Yeah, but that's the problem because people today are listening to reviews.
Yeah.
Basically, like there's some like cult, like there's some cults. Basically, they're listening to reviews they're like they're worshiping God. Basically, like they're worshiping reviews. They're like some kind of a cult, and that's the problem. Instead of like trying to make their own minds and basically their own expectations, no, they're listening to reviews, not just simply like from the other YouTubers, which is even worse in my opinion. Because when I make reviews, usually I will always tell like, look, that's my opinion, but what I would suggest, go to a theater, make up your own mind, you know, make your own opinions. Don't listen to me. Basically, I'm just giving you my experience. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they're basically poisoned by all these reviews and critics that they cannot make their own minds. They cannot make their own opinions, and that's the problem today, and which is in a way disgusts me. You know, no, instead of like going to see this movie by myself, no, I'm gonna listen to the review guy or girl. You know, they're right. It's a shit movie. I'm like, how the hell do you know? You never even seen it.
Yeah, it's jumping on the stereotype of like movies get stereotyped, especially with like older movies as well, where you go, oh, is this good? No, it's not good. And you're like, oh, okay, but you sort of like you go with the same people, you go with everyone's opinion because it's like, I don't want to be different. But I do the same thing. I do reviews here on YouTube, and I always turn around and go, you know, I appreciate when people comment and go, well, actually, I think this. That's great, but then I had a very different experience. So, you know, I accept your opinion, you accept mine, and that's how it should be. That's what movies were made for, to take something very different, but being very respectful. That's the biggest thing, is that it goes then the other way, where people are so disrespectful of difference of opinion. For example, TK really liked Wish. 10 out of 10, people probably wouldn't put it that high up, but that's TK's opinion. You gotta respect that. Don't then start going, you know, too harshly on it because somebody has a different feeling within the movie.
Okay. So far it looks like we're coming to an end to our little live stream / discussion. So before we go, I want to ask you guys, who are your like top 5 Disney animated villains?
Captain Hook, Scar, Shere Khan, just trying to think. No, I'm just going to stick with them 3. I think I'm just going to stick with them 3. I'm going to go top 3.
Okay. DK?
I'm gonna go with Scar, Captain Hook, Ratigan, Hans, and Magnifico.
Okay. For me is Frollo, Hades. A lot of people are now going to bullshit me why I'm putting him so high. John Silver from Treasure Planet. Then I'm going with... it's always a battle between both of them, you know. But you know what? I'm going to go with Shere Khan. And number 5, it will be... Let me see. It will be... King Magnifico is not top 5. He's more like top 10. But so on my number 5, I will put Dr. Facilier from Prince and the Frog. Those are my top 5 villains so far when it comes to Disney. And I'm just hoping that we're going to get more. I'm really hoping that we will. And I hope that Wish will be finally a good start to bring back those Disney classic villains. So, guys, Followers Darkness, all villains in anime, in real world and fiction. We came to an end to this another the Shadow Council episode. So, like always, you know the drill about the subscription, comment, and blah blah blah, and all the rest. I'm Lord of Shadows, and like always, signing off.
Take it easy.
Love Mephisto. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back to another Shadow Cancel, am I? I'm kicked out. I feel like I do this a lot. I have to apologize to Lord of Shadows here because I feel like every single time I get warnings, and I think I'm on about my 6th warning. I think I don't know why I'm still here. Why'd you collab with me? That's all I'm going to ask.
Look on his face.
Anyhow, see you guys next time. Stay tuned for another Shadow Council episode.
Without me.
I hate my life. See you soon, villains, scoundrels, bastards. Boy, why did you create Mephisto, Stanley? Why? See you guys next time.